What's up guys, my name is Ace, and the Call of Duty community already seems to be done with Black Ops 7. The general sentiment in the community anytime Black Ops 7 comes up, it seems to be, we don't care. It's just gonna be a DLC for Black Ops 6, nothing's gonna change, it's just gonna be the same game over again. And I know, we haven't really seen much officially about Black Ops 7 yet. We did see the initial reveal teaser and a couple leaked images. So maybe this sentiment will naturally turn itself around once we get more information and the hype cycle really starts happening, where we get trailers and actual gameplay footage and proper reveals of features that we're going to be seeing, for instance. Or maybe not. I don't know if I've ever seen this level of active disinterest in the next Call of Duty game that's coming up. And this does seem to be a pretty big break away from the typical Call of Duty cycle, where as you get later in the life cycle of the current game, which we currently are, then the cycle is usually, the current game sucks, the previous game was better, and I can't wait to get the next game so we can finally get away from this current game that we're playing. That is not at all what's happening right now in the community. And obviously with this, I can only really speak about the core community, and what I consider to be the core community is those that are actively getting involved in discussions about the franchise outside of the actual game itself. So people that are talking about it on YouTube or Twitter or Reddit or wherever they might be talking about it online. And of course, there's going to be that massive group of casuals that doesn't get involved. They wouldn't be part of the core community that are still going to buy and play the game. I'm sure Black Ops 7 is still likely going to sell quite well. Maybe not for a Call of Duty game, but in general, compared to basically any other game out there, yeah, it's probably still going to sell extremely well. But this really got me thinking, what could they do to maybe turn this community sentiment around? Especially going into their reveals, like the worldwide reveal that was officially confirmed to be happening right before Gamescom takes place on August 19th. That'll likely be mainly campaign focused. And then Call of Duty Next, which a recent rumor just popped up. Apparently this will be happening late September in Vegas, according to the Ghost of Hope. And that's presumably when we'll get the full multiplayer reveal like we have been in previous years. Basically, I just wanted to outline things that I think they can do during these reveals to turn that community sentiment around a little bit. And this is not just a wish list. I've already made my wish list video for Black Ops 7. This is more so how I feel they should be communicating certain things, or some approaches that they could take that could potentially turn this sentiment around. Obviously, there will be some crossover with my wish list though, because I want things that the community generally wants. And doing those things that the community wants is obviously going to turn around sentiment. So let's get into this. And the first thing I've got on my list here is I would like to see them make a commitment to post-launch support. And more than just a statement that, like, we're committed to post-launch support. I mean an actual outline for how they plan on handling their post-launch support and how they plan on doing better than what they did with Black Ops 6. Which, I mean, I really hope they're doing better than Black Ops 6. Black Ops 6 was quite disappointing post-launch. It's actually one of the big issues with Black Ops 6. The game actually launched quite solid, and community sentiment was generally very positive toward the game. Within the first month or so of the game's life cycle, people were happy with Black Ops 6, despite like some issues coming up, like map design and stuff, which we'll talk about. But overall, people were happy in the first couple months of Black Ops 6. But then nothing really seemed to evolve or improve with the game, at least meaningfully over time. Yes, we got some balancing, we got our basic seasonal content, and there were some small quality of life improvements, but there was really no gameplay evolution over time, and the seasonal content just didn't feel like it was nearly enough. And I think this is one of the big reasons that community sentiment has totally flipped around. And now you see constantly that Black Ops 6 dropped the ball and it's the worst Call of Duty of all time, which I personally don't agree with. I actually still quite like the general gameplay design of Black Ops 6, but I do think they definitely fumbled in this area and several others. So I think this is one key thing they could do to get people caring about Black Ops 7 is make that commitment, provide an outline. And just an example, what I'd love to see is we are going to be doing weekly challenges, just like Modern Warfare 3 did. And with those, you're going to be unlocking playable items like attachments or weapon mods or universal camos that you can use across all of your weapons. And this is going to be happening on a regular basis. That type of thing I think would definitely pique a lot of people's interest more when it comes to Black Ops 7. Obviously, that's not enough on its own, so let's talk about the next thing. And this is, once again, going off of one of the big issues with Black Ops 6, at least in the eyes of the community, and this is their map design approach and philosophy. I think this is another area where obviously, hopefully, they're taking a different general approach to how they're designing their maps. But again, I think it really comes down to their communication. This is something I'd love to see them talk about at Call of Duty Next, for instance, when they're revealing multiplayer, is talking about what different approaches are they taking this time around? What did they learn from the map design in Black Ops 6? Are they changing their general map size approach, their structure approach, the thematic approach as well? I know one thing about Black Ops 6 that gets criticized is so many of the maps just take place on Avalon. and therefore a lot of them have a pretty similar like color palette and general theme and aesthetic and lighting. And that does get boring for a lot of people. So I think that's another point where I would like to see them bring that up when talking about multiplayer. And I think that could be another factor that helps turn that community sentiment around toward Black Ops 7. Next up, we're getting into something I have been talking about a fair amount recently, but I think this is an important topic to talk about in the community, especially after what has been happening with Black Ops 6. And this is the whole skin situation, specifically the crazy, wacky, and totally out there and immersion-breaking character skins. Yes, Call of Duty has had wacky skins for a long time, but Black Ops 6 dialed this up to a completely different level and really just went all in on this. And this has become very polarizing in the community. Some people love the wacky skins, they really enjoy them, whereas others have quit the game or franchise entirely just because of these wacky skins, or at least that's one of the primary reasons that they left the game or franchise, is because of how crazy the skins and the general tone of the game went. And for me, it has significantly harmed my perception of the franchise and my desire to play the game. In fact, as a Call of Duty YouTuber, it's literally my job to cover this game. I've had literally one gameplay session in public matches over the past 2 weeks since Season 4 Reloaded. And at least one of the big reasons for that is the fact that they brought Beavis and Butthead skins in. And I just hate looking at that. That was what really crossed the line for me. Like, I've hated a lot of the wacky skins in the past, but that one pushed me over the edge. And I know many people think it's crazy that something that's purely visual like that would put people off from playing the game. But it doesn't change the fact that it does push people away from playing the game. And I do think this is something they absolutely should be addressing properly in the lead up to Black Ops 7. Because the way I see this situation, at least, is by not having these crazy, like totally out there skins. I don't mean a little bit wacky. I mean the completely art style and immersion breaking skins. If you don't have them, it's not likely that that's going to be pushing people away. They're not going to be people leaving the game because it's like, oh no, there's no cartoon characters to play. I guess I'm done with this game. However, including those skins into the game does clearly push people away entirely, and so obviously they need to balance their desire to sell these skins, because they do tend to sell well as far as I'm aware, versus their desire to keep a chunk of their community invested in the franchise. And in many cases, these are the older guys. These are the guys that are super loyal to COD, that have been around COD from the beginning, and they're getting pushed away by this stuff. Is it worth it for the short-term gains of selling these skins to push these players over the edge and completely out of the franchise? I don't think that's a smart move personally. So I think when it comes to Black Ops 7, we still don't know if they are going to be carrying forward these skins from Black Ops 6, and I think a lot of this hinges on that. But if there's no carry forward, which I'm hoping there isn't, I would love to see a proper commitment to setting a hard line on the types of skins that they're going to be including in the game going forward. There was a leak a little while back from the Ghost of Hope as well that mentioned that people within Activision acknowledged that they went too far with this and they're going to be dialing that back in the future. Obviously, that didn't happen for Black Ops 6. I think all that stuff was kind of set in stone a while ago, though, so it was too late for that. But I don't think it's too late for Black Ops 7, so if they are going to be making adjustments there, I'd like to see them set that hard line right at the beginning. Again, not just words like, oh, we're committed to immersion and stuff, and then they break that immediately after. I mean, outline specifically where they are going to be drawing that line on how they're handling skins. And for me, the bare minimum I'd like to see is the skins should be at least human. Or in the case of Black Ops 7, since it is a bit futuristic, we've already seen a robot. Yes, there's probably going to be robots, but at least somewhat congruent with the general art style and theme of the game. If they very clearly outline that they're setting a hard line there, that I think could go a long way for many people like myself. Or alternatively, and if carry forward is going to be coming to the game, so we're literally going to be seeing Beavis and Butthead or American Dad skins day one in Black Ops 7, I really think they need to offer a method of toggling off the non-immersive skins. I know this is somehow controversial and it makes a lot of people mad and they say, well, I won't buy these skins then if I can't force you to look at them. But again, that's something they have to balance and think about. Okay, so these certain people won't buy these skins if there's a toggle to turn it off because they want to make sure everybody sees the skin that they bought, versus these players literally won't buy or play the game because they have no option of turning these skins off. To me, the second part sounds a whole lot worse for the franchise than the first part. And I know for me at least, if they announce that carry forward is happening for character skins and they won't be offering any option to toggle those off, that's immediately going to significantly harm my perception of Black Ops 7 going in, and it's really going to put a damper on any hype that I otherwise may have had. So I do think this is a key point that needs to be addressed at some point throughout their reveals, because for many people, this will actually be a deal breaker, and it seems to me like this would be a very strange hill for Activision to die on. After that, something that I'm very confident they will be addressing, this is Omnimovement. We already know Omnimovement is returning to Black Ops 7, that's officially confirmed, and they also mentioned an evolution to that, which leaks are suggesting this is going to be a wall jump and a wall dive, so the ability to like jump into a wall and then jump off of that wall or dive off of that wall. But I think they should probably be going a little bit beyond that as well to find a nice middle ground for the community. I know many people love Omnimovement, including myself. I actually quite enjoy Omnimovement. But I also know it pushed a lot of players away from the game because it was just too fast, too overwhelming. And I can totally see that side of it as well. And I don't think it would hurt too many people that like Omnimovement to have certain areas dialed back a little bit. And I'd love to see them talk about any adjustments that they're making to Omnimovement to maybe make it a bit more approachable to everybody while still being there for the people that like it. After that, I'm not going to spend too much time on this, but anti-cheat. Honestly, I don't know what more they can do here compared to what they've been doing. We've had plenty of really detailed blog posts outlining anti-cheat improvements over the years that sound great on paper, and maybe they're even working quite well in the back end to shut down a lot of the cheaters that you will never actually see because it's catching these people. What people do see though are the cheaters that slip through the cracks, and when that happens, obviously that's all people are going to focus on, and if they see this, especially on a regular basis, then they just start assuming that the anti-cheat doesn't exist or it's not working properly. And I know, it's a cat and mouse game. There's tons and tons of money to be made developing cheats for Call of Duty, so lots of incentive there to constantly be beating the system, and the anti-cheat system always has to play catch up. So again, I don't really know what they can do beyond what they've already been doing, providing those blog posts, outlining the changes and improvements that they continue to make with the anti-cheat system, only to maybe work for a short period of time, and then the cheaters slip through the cracks, and then we're back to the community sentiment being there's no anti-cheat whatsoever in this game. So I don't really know. Perhaps there's something they really could do that totally flips the tables here, and they actually get the anti-cheat working in an amazing way. That's not my area of expertise, so I can't really speak to that, but I did think this at least deserved a spot on this list today. It's something that I think at least needs to be addressed in some way. I just don't know if there's much more they can do here. Now, after that, something that I think has really been eating away at big portions of the core community over the years is simply the conspiracies that have been spread. This has been a growing trend over the past few years especially, and while I can definitely understand the initial roots of a lot of these conspiracies, I think it really started to blow up when people discovered how easy it is to get so many views and clicks and interest by not only spreading these conspiracies, but expanding on them and coming up with new ones and trying to make them sound believable. Now, this used to just be a very fringe part of the community that would actually believe that certain conspiracies existed in the game, despite the fact that there was very poor evidence to suggest that they were actually there, with far more evidence pointing to the contrary. But I really feel this has spread much further than just a fringe part of the community at this stage. And this will likely be evidenced by some of the comments that will almost definitely pop up in the comment section here. Anytime I address this, I get a ton of backlash because doing anything but fully accepting that these conspiracies exist, despite the fact that the evidence is either non-existent or very easy to pick apart, it gets you labeled as a shill and constantly attacked by these people. So typically when it comes to conspiracies, the best approach, especially when looking at a really large company like Activision, for instance, is to just not give the crazy conspiracy theories the time of day at all. Because if you do, then you're now just exposing those conspiracies to more and more people. However, with how much this has spread in recent years, I think it would be helpful to directly address some of these conspiracies, because many of them have spiraled out of control over the past couple of years to the point where there's actually pretty big groups of the community, from what I've seen, that genuinely believe these exist, and it has pushed them away from the game. I'm still getting comments to this day saying, let me know when the game stops spying on me through my webcam and I'll come back to playing Call of Duty. When that entire controversy about webcams had nothing to do with webcams. It was somebody that had no idea what they were talking about finding a DLL for the NVIDIA Ansel app that doesn't tie into your webcam at all. It's talking about an in-game camera system, which is what the Ansel app does. But like I said, there's tons of people that fully believe that as you play Call of Duty, they are watching you on your webcam because of this. Or skill-based damage in PvP. I know this is a very controversial one because there are so many people that really do truly believe this exists, when all proper testing and evidence always points to the contrary, every single time. So it'd be great if they could address that. Also, actual bots from Activision mixed into public matches. That's another thing where many people fully believe there are bots mixed in, because that's something that's been pushed by several YouTubers for quite some time now, to the point where many people just now believe it as fact. And it would be nice for them to directly and clearly address some of these conspiracies in a like dedicated blog post, for instance, and just put these to rest. Now I know, even if they did this, there would be certain groups in the community that wouldn't believe them because Activision bad, everything they do is a lie, and they can't be trusted at all. Those groups will literally never change their mind. You can't reach those people. That's fine. Those would be the same types where if Activision doesn't address it, then it's also Activision being shady and not addressing these things. So you just can't win with them and you can't change their mind. But I think at least a lot of the more reasonable people will be like, oh yeah, maybe I was misled about that. That actually does sound a little bit ridiculous. And now that you've explained it, I understand or believe that that's not real. And this leads me to the final section I wanted to talk about when it comes to potentially turning around some of the general sentiment in the community toward Black Ops 7 before release. Give us something we've been asking for years and years now with no progress whatsoever happening. I know one relatively easy win is switch up double XP tokens so they work like they did back in the day. They only work with in-game time rather than lobby time as well. That's something where it wouldn't really hurt them at all. They could dial back the number of like 1 hour double XP tokens they award, for instance, and maybe make them shorter times, which I would accept fully if I knew that it was only counting down in real game time. And I do think that's something that the community would universally see as a positive thing and a win. After all these years of us pushing back against it, we finally got this thing with Black Ops 7. That could be a positive element and an easy win they could give the community. Additionally, something we had back in Black Ops 2 that I do bring up to this day because I think it was great is the ability to opt into an option that searches for a better connection match, even if it means it's going to take longer to find that match. Or maybe something new, like setting a hard ping limit, where you tell the game, I don't want to play in a game unless it's below this ping. Regardless of how long it takes to find that game, I don't want to be playing any higher than that. That one would definitely have some implications for how their matchmaking system works, but that would be seen as a very big win in the community, I believe at least. Or some things that I know are incredibly unlikely, but the fact that we see them as being so unlikely, despite the fact that we've been clamoring for these things for years, would make them that much more of a win for the community, and it would turn the community that much more in a positive direction toward Black Ops 7. This would be a method of keeping lobbies together somehow, whether that's just finally getting rid of disbanding lobbies. Again, I don't think they're gonna do this, but if they did, that would be a massive win. I know the community would be so excited to see that. I think it would have a lot of positive implications for the community aspect of the game as well. Even if they added just a setting that you could opt into that keeps you in the lobby but pulls everyone else out that doesn't want to stay in the lobby. So anybody that has that setting enabled, they get to stay in the lobby and then it will fill up after that. Even something as small as that, I think could go a long way into turning that community sentiment around a little bit. Or maybe make some adjustments to the matchmaking and talk about those specific adjustments you're making. I know SBMM isn't going away, but maybe it's time to make some real adjustments here and outline the specific adjustments and how it's going to be beneficial to the player base. Maybe adjust how quickly your MMR swings so you don't see as much of a roller coaster effect. Maybe offer a multiplayer casuals mode and dial back how strict the skill-based matchmaking is in regular modes to account for that. Again, I don't think these things are likely, but I think announcing that you're doing these things and making these changes would immediately flip things around for many people. And I think these would even bring a lot of players back that have been done with Call of Duty for a while. In either case, there's just my list of things I wanted to throw out there. I think if they even just picked a handful of these and make sure they include these in their presentation at Call of Duty Next, for instance, I think they have the potential for at least helping to turn that community sentiment around going into Black Ops 7, because if they don't do these things, I don't think things are going to go very well, and I think we'll end up seeing a very similar situation to what we saw in Modern Warfare 3, where regardless of the quality of the game, the community sentiment surrounding the game at launch will be generally negative, and I think it would actually be worse than the sentiment we saw with Modern Warfare 3. Now, of course, time will tell on this. These are just my opinions, and this is where I want to hear from you guys in those comments down below. First off, what do you guys think about some of these things that I outlined today? If they followed suit with what I suggested, would that help turn the tides on how you're feeling about Black Ops 7 going into the game? Or maybe not so much, maybe it's too late for you, or maybe you're already really excited for Black Ops 7, and we just don't hear from you people as much as the people that are really not looking forward to Black Ops 7. And also, what other things could they do that would turn things around for you? Let's say you're watching Call of Duty Next. What's the one big thing they could announce or do that would immediately get you hyped and excited for Black Ops 7? Just let me know down below. If you enjoyed the video, a like rating is always appreciated. And don't forget to subscribe for more if you haven't already. I'll talk to you guys next time.